Aka ka je replica.
All right. Today, promise has been fulfilled. I told you to stay tuned, and by His grace, we are here. Welcome to a moment uh, of MMP with, as my brother and friend would say, Reverend Eli Kerek. And by the grace of God, we are live from Replica Church. So I'm welcoming you to this moment that we will see how far we will go. And I know many of you now, your ears are itching. You want to hear, what is there, what is happening. So welcome to, either you say psychology and marriage or marriage and psychology. But one thing, I know we're going to be talking about, marriage. And I'm sure, is not a new thing, especially when you talk about marriage. And I mentioned last week that marriage, one of the oldest institution. And when you say institution, you're talking about how it was established, on what basis was established. So, and of course, when you build your house, now you start to see the need to do like kind of some setup, restructuring, resetting, or maybe overhauling. It means that there's some kind of problem somewhere. So what you're seeing, as a problem is not the problem. The problem might be rooted in the subconscious of that particular thing that you are seeing in the conscious. So let me start, with this. I know it might interest you to know that I have spent most of my life, like my son would say, he's just 6 years here in the United States, and he would say, "Hey, Daddy, did you know that I've spent most of my life in the United States?" So I have spent, most of my life either studying, learning, observing, how marriage is working for those whom have gone before me and those who are coming into aid. And at the same time, from my own experience, marrying as a husband and as a father to my two children, So I have spent at least 35 years, impulsive, just to observe, just to learn. But in reality, I've spent 26 years of active learning and studying and teaching. See, now I graduated from observing and learning and watching people how they're doing in their marriage, and now transited to when I have now started not just learning, not studying, but now teaching it. So 26 years of doing that, and of course, and I would say, 16 years of active practicing. Let me put it that way. Practicing, meaning, as I'm married, meaning I am, if you're feeling pain, I feel the same pain. If you're feeling despair, sometimes, of course, if you're sometimes your emotions are kind of all over the places, of course, I mean, so I'm not going to say what you are not, familiar with, and I appreciate that, because that's what Jesus do. Anytime he's teaching, his parables are not, like kind of off the radar, but he uses what we know to kind of teach us truth, about the kingdom. So that's exactly, where I'm coming from. I have read more before, even starting to practice to be in an active, marriage. So I've read over 50 books, of marriage. I mean, about marriage. So for that, matter, I just want to invite you. I just want to call your attention to know that yes, we are talking about something that you are familiar with. And of course, for those of you that are afraid to kind of come in, I know it's not your fault. Of course, you have a reason to get afraid to get married. And for some of you that are in there married, yeah, of course. I mean, when you tell me that, oh, I'm done, I mean, I cannot stand it. I understand. And of course, for some of you that are saying, you know what? Oh man, marriage is beautiful. Marriage is sweet. I do understand with that too. And I want to borrow from my two scholars. I when I was watching them, talking about a marriage. I mean, one of our friend was asked, interviewed, why is he staying all this long, without marrying? And our friend replied back and said, you know what? Is it because you wanted me to test what you are enjoying, or to test the bitter of the side of what you guys are, suffering from? But see, that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. Marriage is sweet. Marriage is bitter. It is sweet if you really want to stand by it and go by the rule of the game, but it's bitter when you want to go by your own, principles and philosophies and rules that are not, in a way, coinciding with why marriage. Okay, let me stop there and kind of go back to marriage and psychology, or psychology in marriage, because I don't need to say anything about marriage, because we all have a way of defining what marriage is all about, and we all have our ways of understanding what marriage is. Because today there are many more definitions of marriage, but we know that it started from one singular definition. It started from one singular perspective, but today marriage has, all kinds of, understanding. While marriage between this and that, marriage between this very particular, that's not what I'm here for. I'm here to talk about, why is it failing? I don't want to say, well, just to tell you that marriage is sweet or marriage is bitter, and there's no particular roadmap as to what marriage is. The truth is, you can put 100 people or 100 marriages that are struggling and ask them, you will have different comments. You have different, struggles, not the same. So the same thing when it comes to handling of marriage. There's no one rule as regards to say this is how you got to do it. Okay, but one thing that I want us to know that probably we are not paying attention to that is that yes, marriage, the psychology of marriage is what we are not really understanding probably. Now for us to say there is this psychology that we're not seeing or we're not understanding what is marriage. That's why we want to connect it. Now, for us to connect it, marriage, of course, is not just for one person. It's between two people, right? And now, if it's between two people, now of course, bringing psychology, of course, psychology is a study of human behavior or the science of a human behavior, whichever way you want to put it. But because you're talking about emotions that we struggle with, you're talking about how I'm feeling, what made me to do this, or what led me to even, think about marrying this person, or think about, why am I interested in this person? Oh, I want to marry a black person. I want to marry a white person. I want to marry a tall person. There's psychology there, and also to kind of say this, I want you to know that the emotions that we struggle with, it's not coming from anywhere, but it's coming from the inception. When God created us, God put those emotions in us, and there are 8 emotions that all of us, that we have or that we struggle with. 8 emotions. It's just like the fruit of the spirit that we have in the Bible. That it is not fruits, but it's fruit. Because when you say fruits, means that, they are different. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, but they are of course 1, 2, 3, 4, but you're not going to call them fruits, but it's fruit of the spirit. Meaning, as a Christian who desire growth, as a Christian who need to mature, definitely you are expected to have the whole fruit of the spirit. It is not just to just be patient. It's not just to be gentle. It's not just to be kind. It's not just to be faithful. You got to have all of it. So the same thing when it comes to, the psychology of a person. Now it is expected that yes, the 8 emotions should be there. Now talk about anger. All right, anger is an emotion. Hurts, loneliness, sad, fear, shame, guilt, glad. These are feelings that we feel, while we live, while we work in this, in this life. So in marriage, of course, that's what we see there. Before you get married, and when you are married, and in fact, what probably leads to some of us kind of saying, "Well, this is what we see when we thinking about marriage. We see those things. You know what? I don't mean to kind of, to do some kind of academic, but when you look at Genesis, where the marriage began, where it got started, there's psychology there. By the time a woman was introduced to the man, there was an emotion. Wow. It was like, wow. Meaning there was joy, there was this glad, that yes, something good, something good. But it did not stop at that. After a while, there was a different emotion again. And that emotion was what? Is sadness, is guilt, is hurt. Why? Because there was a transition. There was a complete a complete loss of focus. Something was lost. The joy was gone. No happiness. Why? Because something went wrong. Why? Because the behavior at that moment is completely changed. So when you're talking about marriage, before we even think about starting to kind of say, okay, I think right now I'm of age. I need to start a relationship. That struggle that is going on within you, that is where the biology of behavior, start to work in you. Now, because it is not just like it is something that is in you. Because the whole of us, our body housed what goes on around us. So the brain is the center of every chemical function. Every Whatever that you think, the brain, everything works in there. So now when there's a problem, we do not, kind of step back to say, oh, what went wrong? What went wrong? Why is he behaving this way? Why is she behaving this way? Oh, when I said this, why did I shout? Meaning there's something, there's a dysfunction somewhere. So in this case, I just want to tell you that many are not married today because of fear. See, that's an emotion. Fear has led many to say, no, I'm not going to marry. Why? I've seen this failed. I've seen this one have failed. I've seen this one struggle. So fear have stopped many people to marry. Okay? Not only that, there are people who could not marry because of mental issues. Now, mental issues in the sense that because now, oh, why does he not want to marry? Nobody cares to know what was wrong. Maybe he's born with bipolar that nobody knows, and he's acting out. Maybe he has schizophrenia that nobody knows. Now he's acting out. So, but it's only when you go deeper, you do some assessment that you say, oh, now I see why he's not. And of course, I've seen many who would say, well, I don't care. I'm going to marry him that way. But when the journey continues, it's not going to go a long way before you know, well, I can't handle this. Why? Because you did not take care before you venture into it. And that's why today many people say love is blind. I don't think if it's love is not, love has many eyes. Love has many eyes. Because I've seen many people who just jump into it and they will jump out of it. So before you get married, you just have to open your eyes wide. And you have to definitely put your consciousness in work. It is not in those days our parent who got married, like, my mom was just like, she was just sitting there and she was asked, okay, you're gonna go join your husband. Husband? Where is he? How did I know him? Oh, well, here's his picture. And marriage would take place like that. And that was how some of us, came out of that, as a byproduct to that type of marriage. And today there are different type of marriages. Culture can define marriage based on its own, cultural, affairs. Tradition can also give birth to its own type of marriage. So when you struggle in a marriage, I just want you to know that don't just pay attention to what is now. I want you to pay attention to what is even back then. Because it is not what you see now that is the problem. But what had happened long time ago, but only that you are just seeing the results. I've seen people who would say, well, I don't care about premarital counseling. And as a result of their denial, they are, trying to avoid it. And in the end, because they thought that they know it, and coming into it, they discovered that wasn't what exactly marriage is all about. And that was I experienced the same thing. You know why? Because before I got married, I was like, this one is not right. That one is not right. Oh, he should do it this way. I'm going to write book about marriage. Well, I cannot wait to marry so that people can see the type of home I'm going to make. You know, unfortunately, when I married, I, I mean, all of those went away. Where is the interest to write the book about marriage? Where is that person that was saying, well, he's going to do it this way? Why? Because that was the way I viewed marriage. So I know that when you read this book, when you listen to that person, I don't want to be so selfish to say that many people are writing their books from their own experience, or many people are teaching from their own experience. Who knows? Probably I'm also trying to tell you from my own experience. But rather, I try to want to stay away from that or far from that. But rather, I want to do something that personally I will learn from it while we talk about marriage and psychology. Because if we would know, or we would really understand our behavioral functioning, probably that will curtail some of the fight that we have in the home. If we understand our behaviors, how it works, probably that would reduce the rate of divorce. If we will understand how our human behavior works, probably that will reduce rushing into marriage. And if we understand exactly how the science of our behavior, how it works, probably definitely we will say we want to do it right. See the point I'm trying to make? Because I know, like my friend said, anytime when I love to talk about marriage, and my wife would say, my wife would say, Tajishi, come on, gaske. But the truth is, you want to do the right thing, but you are kind of struggling when you want to do the right thing. You find yourself not doing it as one of the apostles would say. But until we do the right thing, we will not get it right. We will not get it right. Until we do the right thing, then we'll get it right. So in marriage, there's always room for creativity as a coping skill to changing how we think, how we behave, and how we can direct our emotions. There's always room for creativity. Because if we don't give room for creativity, definitely we would get tired of what we are always doing. If we don't give room for creativity, definitely we'll get tired of doing old things again and again and again. And of course, it's the same because I know you guys would want me to go to one of the aspects that probably I would love to talk about it or to discuss about it someday. Sex, because I know it's one of the areas in marriage that I can testify. I can tell you guys that many homes are normal because of sex. But we forget that it is the science of how you handle it. Because you don't think about it, you don't talk about it. But when you do that with a full sense of understanding between the two, then definitely, I mean, it's going to go well. And I tell people, see now, as soon as I mention that, it's like I want to jump into it. I was talking, I mean, with a woman who came to me and said, well, my husband is no more interested in this, because I can see him going out there, and someone told me that he goes out with this woman or with that girl. Now, the question I asked her was that, how is your sex relation, or how is your sex when it comes to the activity of sex, how are you guys handling that? Tell me. Well, I know that. See, now the truth is going to come out, because from the conscious, you know that she is saying her husband is not there, her husband is going out, but now in the subconscious, something has moved her husband out. Why? Probably he is not being well kept at home, and his behavior somehow was affected, and he will start to change face. And he, from the name, the beautiful, the sweet name that he calls her is normal, it will start to fade away. So that is just it. When we come to talk about, we will look at it. But just to tell you that, listen, guys, there's creativity in marriage. There's always room for creativity. Create, something new. Because it is not about. It's not about the rule. It's not in marriage. Let me tell you something, guys. There's no rule of the. There's no rule of the thumb. No, no. It is not because Eli has done it this way, or I'm going to do it this way, because I can see that he is succeeding, he is flourishing in this way. I'm going to do it this way. If you go my way, it might not work for you. It might not work for you. But I want you to do your own way so that it will work for you. So, but all I'm trying to do is to kind of whet your appetite, not only that, to inspire you, not only that, to spoil you, to know that, in marriage, we don't understand the psychology of marriage. We need to understand about that. If we understand about, the psychology of our behavior, then definitely, then some will say, well, you know what? She is not my match. He is not my match. We don't, we are not, we don't fit together. But I mean, I don't want to rule it out to say that, yes, you are right. I don't want to rule it out. But the fact is that how well you understand the behavior of this man, the behavior of this woman, how well do you understand? Because it is one thing to understand the behavior of the person, then know how to work with the person, and it is another thing to not know about the behavior of this person and kind of conclude that, oh, this person is that way. So I just want you to know that, when it comes to marriage, it's more than just the ceremony. It is more than just, spending and lavishing and providing this mansion and trying to make sure at least you get her the most fanciful car, or take her wherever you want, the world that you want to take her. It's more than that. It's more than that. It is about the person. It's about the person. It's about the person. All of those things, they are just there. But the person is still there. So the person is the one that feels happy, that feels sad, that is guilty sometimes, and that feel the hurt that we put to each other. So that is what we need to pay attention to it. You need to pay attention to now, why am I quiet at this very particular moment? Why am I quiet? Okay, so we need to give room for creativity, and that's why, when we remove creativity in our marriage, then definitely we will struggle. We will keep doing one thing all the time. I have seen marriages that that ended in suicidal. Now, why? Why should you have to? This is marriage ending in suicidal. This is a marriage that they were going out there. He takes her out there for this Politics are out there for this, and they were exchanging love words. They were kind of, watching such kind of movies that make them happy, laugh, embrace one another, kiss one another, do all of these things. And today, this man ended in depression, and because it was so severe that he could not handle it, and he hanged himself. He probably, choked himself, or probably went and threw himself in somewhere, or probably, take a knife and just do whatever. Why does he have to go to that extent? Why? Because the psychology of that very person is not well understood. It's not understood. So, and that is why when I say there's room for creativity, do not, when you are an African, do not behave like a white man. You've been making a terrible mistake. When you are a white man, you want to act like an African man, you are making a terrible mistake. But there's always room for creativity to borrow from how Africans are doing some things that could probably work for you. There's always room for you to borrow from the white person to see how you can, fit in what you're doing. Why? Because you want to succeed. Why? You want to flourish. So that's why, there's always, I was talking with one of my supervisors as at work, one of my clinical supervisors, and we were talking about integration in counseling. I don't mean to bring. I know we have people who would say, Bible alone, Bible alone, because every problem, every issue, struggle that the human beings have, the genesis is sin. I totally agree with that. And there are people who are saying, no, it's science. No, it's science completely. The world, that we live in, because of this, the technology, because of that. Oh, well, yeah. But I say, you know what? We need to care for the spirit, we need to care for the soul, and we need to care for the body. And that's why I am in the middle. I'm an integrationalist. I believe in both, attending to both the soul, the spirit, and the body. Yes, there's need for prayer, and of course, there's need to listen. There's need to pay attention to what is going on. Tell me what's going on. That's what people go and pay and spend their money to come to us and give their money. Pay me, $200 for just 1 hour just to listen to you. What's going on? But if you will listen to yourself, you wouldn't need to come and spend your $200 with me. So, I cannot wait to kind of keep, unveiling, and chaining those areas in our marriages that has been chained. Okay, so I just want you to just stay put to tell you that we got to pay attention to the psychology of what is going on, the behavior, the science of what is going on with our bodies. It's more than just she know how to cook. Because when I ask people, why do you want to get married? Oh, I want to settle. At least I'm this year, I'm this old, so I need to get settled. So I need a woman. Listen, that woman is not going to help you settle. That's not true. Well, you know what? I'm tired of going out, sleeping with this woman, with that woman. Listen, guy, that is not going to stop you from doing that. When you marry, it's not going to stop you from doing that. Yeah. I'm tired, I need to marry because I don't know how to cook. I'm tired of spending my money out there. You're going to go hungry even when you get married. Let me tell you that. You're going to go hungry. Because the day the behavior changed, that food that you're looking for, you're not going to get it on the table. So don't deceive yourself. Don't deceive yourself. Oh, I want you to get it. I just want you to get it. We need to understand the science of our body, the science of our behavior. If we understand that, then we can. That's why communication in marriage, right? Or body language, right? Yeah, I get it. But what makes the communication to go weird? Why isn't there any communication? Why? Because we are not paying attention to the real thing. We're not paying attention to the real thing. So I want to tell you that when you see trauma in marriage, you see depression in marriage, you see anxiety in marriage, you see all. It is just because there is something that we need to pay attention to, and which we will talk about that. We will talk about all of that. We will talk about that. So it's something that I know until I probably end this. I don't know when, but maybe until Jesus comes, marriage will not get it, will not understand it. But we need to pay attention to it so that we don't struggle until Jesus comes. Okay. I just want to tell you that, listen, there's hope. There's always hope. Just stay calm. You are struggling. I know you are struggling right now, but brother and my sister, we'll keep talking. There's hope. Don't rush. Don't rush out of it yet. I know there was a problem, there was a mistake. Yes. Let's talk about that. We will talk about that. Don't rush into it. And you that are just trying to come in, hey, let's talk about that. While you try to come in, let's talk about that. And you that is there some years ago, and you're like, you know what, I'm tired of that. I've seen a man who came to me. He's 65. He said, I've been married for 40 years. Guess what? He just found himself in a shelter, homeless shelter. When I asked him, tell me what happened? Why are you here? I've been married for this woman for 40 years. We never had a problem. But simply because we went for grocery and came back because I parked the car where she did not want me to park it. And she said, leave my house. And that was it. That was it. He's homeless. So that's I'm just stay food. There's hope. We will get it. I mean, together we will get there. We'll get there. But I'm not here to fix your home. But you are going to fix it. And by the help of God, you cannot do it with your own powers. You cannot do it but I'm telling you, we'll get to the root of it. Which I know I don't want to say it's all about science. No. Because if you remove God in your home, it's like totally removing the roots. That tree is not going to be there. That tree is not going to stand. So that's another thing that I want to, because I told you I'm an integrationalist. I believe 100% Bible is my key. All right, but still I pay attention to other things that is going on around and within. So when you remove God in your marriage, if you remove God in your marriage, then definitely a lot of things will go wrong. A lot of things will go wrong. So that's why I don't want to be throwing scriptures, but I want to point out to the real issues. So today I'm able to kind of, number one, that yes, there's psychology in marriage. And today, at least that, of course, in our marriage, we need to be creative. Okay? So definitely psychology and marriage is not something that is, I know you must say it's debatable, but we as we unfold more and more, you agree with me. There's psychology in marriage. So I it's my hope and my prayer that yes, we will get there and we'll get it together. So I can see that some are saying, yeah, of course, Keep it going. Yeah, we will go. We will keep it going. We will keep it going. Yes. Thank you, Johanna. We will keep it going. Yes, we will keep it going. So until I come your way next week, then to talk about another, stage that we need to kind of pay attention to it. So I thank you for your time. Have a wonderful, week. Blessed moment.